So, Remember a Day, based on the life of Sid Barrett? Is that fair to say?
I would say that it's fair to say that it was, that was where it all sprung from. To try and go back and look at what happened to him, and set it in a modern setting, I think.
Right, because you're quite well known for having done a film called The Trip, aren't you?
Sid Barrett's first trip,
yeah.
Yes. That is my world famous video.
Yeah. When was that made?
68.
So that was a contemporary film, and Remember a Day now is shot in 2002, 2001. What period does it cover, actually?
Well, I think it more or less covers 68 to 76.
That sort of period.
That sort of period.
And the black and white stuff we're seeing, that presumably is flashback period to...
Yeah, that's intended to show how he was when he was well and really doing the business. Yeah. So we made it black and white, a bit sort of scratchy. Yeah. It looks like it was all archive footage.
What was it like working in a small studio? Was that tough?
That little studio was very tough to work in. It was very hard, very demanding. Extremely small space, you know, where he's in prison. Yeah, it wasn't easy.
It seemed to me, looking at the film, that it was more a psychological drama concerning the mental state of two people, not just one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, I could say two deranged people. Yeah.
How long did it take to make?
Ooh, how many days? What was it, 10-day shoot? Probably with, well, then we had extra add-on days, didn't we?
Spread over 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I would say probably was 3-week shoot, 15 days.
How did you get involved with the project in the first place?
Well, because I'd made this film with Sid Barrett in '68, Sid Barrett's first trip, and knew Bernie, and knew Daryl. Yeah. They were looking for someone who had some sort of affinity with the subject.
Yeah. How did you know Sid Barrett?
I grew up with him in Cambridge. He's slightly younger than me, he's 2 years younger than me, but he was in the sort of peer group, there was a large peer group in Cambridge, and he was sort of on the periphery. And then the Pink Floyd got together, and in fact I got them their first gig in London at the Marquee. They were,
Were you a musician yourself?
No.
I noticed in the film, in between certain sequences, we had the famous Pink Floyd psychedelic, how would you describe it, research? That rather strange material, and they were cutting from scene to scene, and seemed to cut back to some of the old psychedelic effects.
Oh, the fractals.
Yeah,
the fractal patterns.
They're called fractals, right?
Yeah, they're called fractals. Well, you know, they do, yeah, I made several films about fractals myself, and they always reminded me of those sort of things you might see on an LSD trip. The patterns seem to resonate. When I first saw fractals, I thought, hang on a second, there's some connection here between these things out in the mathematical world and the way that the brain actually works. There's some connection, mathematical connection.
So it's more significant than we might imagine.
It's very significant to me, but I think what we were trying to do there was just to capture that feeling of colour, light and movement of these extraordinary patterns.
The end of the film is a bit enigmatic. Is it designed to be? Are we supposed to understand what's going on at the end?
I think we're expected to understand that Roger, as he walks down the hill, is his own man. He's found some way to live his life. And as Zoot passes him by and does that double take and looks back, God, there he is. He's still doing it. He's still alive. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look in the most brilliant condition, but the boy's still there.
Sid Barrett, I take it, has not seen the film?
Not to my knowledge.
No. What do you think his reaction would be if he saw it?
Well, given his mental state, I don't know what he would make of it. In fact, I even wonder if he would see the connection. He is very far gone, you know. He's quite balmy. So,
do you think there's a lesson for people watching this film? Any sort of an underlying message of any sort?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you could say there's a danger in drugs and rock and roll and excess, of sudden fame. Because what happens to Roger Bannerman, it seems to be in the film, is the same thing that happened to Sid Barrett, is that once he got his band on the road and once it started to take off, his dream was to be a rock star, but the reality of it wasn't what he wanted, because he was getting record companies telling him what to do, how to write, what to sing, how to perform, and he didn't like that. He wanted to do it his way. And why not? I mean, he had the talent.
How much of the script of Remember a Day was improvised?
I would say 50%.
45.
Yeah. So, were you the primary writer?
I wasn't the primary writer, no. I had some hand in writing some of the later scenes that we picked up after we'd done the first edit, but Darryl and Bernie had written it. All of that work had basically been done before they asked me to come on board.
And well, that brings up in a difficult position. What do you think of Darryl's portrayal of the main character?
I think he does it good. I think he does it. I think he captures it. I think he captures the difficulty that the rock star in that situation finds himself in when he has lost control and when reality has slipped away from him. Certainly Darryl is good at capturing the Sid mannerisms. He's got the walk, the look. Gets it there. I think he does it good.
Which character of the two do you have more sympathy for?
I have more sympathy for the guy who kidnaps him.
Yes.
In fact, because when you watch that character trying to persuade him, your heart goes out to him really, because he said, "I built this for you. I built it myself. I built it for you. We can do it." And he really does believe it, and one feels at the time, yes, you could do it. You know, you could help this guy.
I think the interesting thing is that one character has disintegrated, we assume, through drug dependence, and the other has not. He's cracked up, presumably, without getting involved in drugs.
Yeah, I think that character is a character who is not able to cope in the world.
Yeah.
He just can't hack it. He finds everything very, very difficult. I think he finds people difficult. I think he finds running his life very hard. And I think he latches on to Roger Bannerman. He pins all his hopes. It becomes obsessive. Yes. There's not a lot in the guy's life. And I think it's a bit of a lost soul.
What do you hope will happen to the film now?
I hope the film will be shown and greatly appreciated. I really do.
Do you know if other Floyd members have seen the film?
I don't think they have, not to my knowledge. I believe Storm Thorgerson has seen the film. The guy who does all the sleeves of Pink Floyd.
Yes.
I think Bernie got him to have a look at it.
Do you think if they saw it they would identify with it? Or they'd recognise the character?
Yes, they would. They would recognise the character. I mean, they wouldn't recognise the story as such, because it really wasn't like that.
Yeah.
What Darryl and Bernie have tried to do is to take it on from, if you like, where Roger is now. Well, that's what happened to Roger Bannerman. He had it all, but he couldn't keep a grip on it. I mean, we show in the film that drugs play a part in all of that. But what I feel about the Sid Barrett, the real Roger Barrett, was he was always unbalanced. He was always on the edge. And his father was a schizophrenic, and his schizophrenia came out really at about the time the band was starting to take off. And I think that schizophrenia was brought on by the drugs, by the fame, by being on stage, and all the pressure of that and having to perform.
The final scene where they meet in the park, and
Yeah.
tell me about the scene after that.
Well, I think what the scene after that does is it brings us back to the optimistic side. The time when the guy was doing good things. And in a way, you've got to say, well, we can't maybe be wonderfully creative all our lives. But there was a time in his life where he was very fruitful, very creative, was having a big influence on people, but it just couldn't continue. There have been other artists like that who just had a burst. But what a burst, I mean, there are certain sounds that will just stay with us. And I think that's what we're trying to say, that what he did was worth it, even if he had to pay such a price.
Right, thank you very much.